Creating a flexible workforce is a key aim for retailers and manufacturers. Salary and employment-related costs are likely to be one of your most significant expenses. So finding ways to keep employee-related costs low whilst having access to workers when you need them is a tricky balance to strike. And today we're going to be looking at two popular options available to you to build flexibility into your workforce. Firstly, we will look at the use of 0 hours contracts. When are they appropriate and how best can you use them? We'll also explore agency workers. Are there any hidden costs? And what do consumer products businesses really need to know about them?
This is a type of contract used by employers whereby workers agree to be available for work, although have no guaranteed hours. The four main benefits for employers are access to staff who know your business. There's no obligation on you to provide work. You only have to pay the worker for any hours actually worked, and it's a quick way to meet short-term staffing needs. Recently, there's been a lot of negative press about the use of 0 hours contracts, particularly in the retail sector. However, used well, they can provide both employer and employee with a good degree of flexibility. Be realistic about what your business needs are. If you want workers who are guaranteed to turn up for work at set times each week, then 0 hours contracts are not appropriate in that instance. A useful question to ask yourself is, would I have any issues meeting customer demand if one of my 0 hours workers refused to work a specific shift? If that would be an issue, then as before, 0 hours contracts are probably not the right option for you. However, if you need to supplement your permanent workforce during busy periods such as bank holidays, then using 0 hours workers may be a practical solution. They can also be a low-cost way to handle staff shortages. You're not obliged to offer set hours or indeed any hours. The counterside of this is that the worker is not obliged to accept any hours and should be free to work for other companies. For this reason, if you're keen to use 0 hours workers, it makes sense to have more than a couple to help avoid your business being understaffed.
0 hours workers are entitled to be paid at least the minimum wage for any hours worked. They also accrue entitlement to statutory holiday at the rate of 12.07% of the hours worked. To help with this calculation, you should put in place arrangements to record the number of hours worked by each 0 hours worker and the holiday that each one has taken. A 0 hours worker may also be entitled to receive statutory sick pay, but that will be dependent on the circumstances. So, to recap on the key points, 0 hours workers are a useful resource to supplement your permanent staff, particularly at busy times for your business. You do not have to guarantee them set hours, and they are paid for the hours they work. Use them wisely and you will have a more adaptable workforce at low cost.
Another way to build flexibility into your workforce is to engage the services of agency workers. One of the main differences compared to using 0 hours workers is that you'll be entering into a contract with a recruitment agency rather than with the agency workers directly. For this reason, the contract you enter into with the recruitment agency is very important.
It is in this contract that you can include specific protection for your business to deal with the various risks faced by using agency workers. We would always recommend including indemnities in your contract to protect your business against breaches of the main rules governing agency workers, the Agency Workers Regulations 2010.
Agency workers are entitled to the same pay and other basic working conditions as your permanent staff after a 12-week qualifying period. They are also entitled to access to collective facilities and employment vacancies within your business from day one of their assignment. But it's important to remember that they don't get employment rights, so won't be able to bring claims for unfair dismissal or get a redundancy payment. Due to the additional rights from week 12 of an assignment, many consumer products companies limit the length of any agency worker's assignment to under 12 weeks. Can businesses terminate an assignment at week 11 and start a new assignment 2 weeks later to avoid the 12-week qualifying period? If you terminate an assignment and then restart the same or a very similar assignment with the same agency workers, then this is likely to be a breach of the regulations. Trying to avoid the 12-week rule, can result in a fine of up to £5,000 for breach. There is also the potential for significant negative publicity and brand damage.
Best practice is to assess your business needs in advance. How long do you need the agency worker for? If you need them for longer than 12 weeks, are you prepared to pay them the same pay as your permanent staff doing a similar role? You should maintain records of agency workers' use and have approved systems in place so that you know when the 12-week period has been reached.
So how does a business decide whether to use agency workers or 0 hours employees? Well, whether you decide to use agency workers or 0 hours workers will depend on your business needs. Taking the example of a manufacturer of children's toys, this type of business is likely to see an increase in production levels in the months leading up to Christmas. If you know in advance that you will need to increase the size of your workforce, and you need the security of knowing your additional workers are required to carry out work for a specific period on specific days, then agency workers are more likely to be the right choice. This is because with 0 hours contracts, there is no guarantee that the worker will agree to doing the work that you want on the days that it needs to be done.
Taking another example, say an online retailer with a small but growing sales team. If there are staff absences due to, say, illness or holiday, 0 hours employees might be more appropriate than agency workers. If your 0 hours workers have worked with you on and off for a while, they will be more likely to know your business and understand your systems.
So you can see that before you take the decision on whether to use agency workers or 0 hours workers, it's important to assess your particular needs to find the right option for your business.